I'm very confused by that clip because first off, isn't KFC owned by Pepsi? So why are they serving Coke with it? Secondly, nobody gets filled up off of two pieces of KFC. So how can you expect that guy to screen for porn and hate speech and stuff like that? That's just so unrealistic. Oh, hey, let's check it. Can we check GrandTheftWorld.com? Let's see what's on over there.
Yeah, it's looking pretty
Dun, dun,
sharp, you
dun,
guys.
dun, dun, dun. I haven't seen it yet. Dun, dun, dun. Grand Theft World.com. I cleared my cache and I spelled it wrong. Let's
It's
try again.
really
There we go. Suspense. If you're listening to the audio only version, we are now seeing that there is a new website. Look at that. It's not about right versus left, it's about freedom versus slavery. This looks excellent. And I heard it was supposed to be done for Sunday, and I just trusted that, yeah, it's done. Look at that. We have town hall not this week, but next week. We can meet the team. Look at these. The handsome gentleman of Grand Theft World. Soon to be coming out with a Christmas calendar of some sort, I'm sure. And then you can watch the episodes on the page. You can see right now, if we go to the top of the page, it should have, does it right here, Grand Theft World Live. Oh, this will be like looking at yourself in a mirror, 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 mirror. But oh wow, gotta turn that off. All right, let's go back. That was a close one. All right, so those recurring loops aside, grandtheftworld.com. If you want to watch the latest podcast or join the community or explore past episodes, those are the three popular use cases of folks who come to our site. You're either looking to get into the community area, you're looking for last week's episode, where can I watch live? All these things are now answered on grandtheftworld.com, and I'm so proud of everybody who participated in making this a reality because as you can see, I no longer make my own WordPress sites. I did that for, I don't know, 15 years. And I finally delegated and systematized the people who know how to do it better than me. That's how you're supposed to. It's called delegate up, not down. So, if you guys are looking for more, look, if you wanted to see Tim Pool, you'd have to go into a past episode because I don't think he's in the new format. I don't think he's in there anymore. It's almost like the Chatham House fools got him. I don't know though. Can I keep covering people favorably who go to Chatham House rules meetings? I don't know. I think Kim Iverson had a good take on what that meeting was all about, and that like I don't know if you're gonna ride the fence so hard, bro. I don't know. Z- I I don't know. Chatham House rules. It's not to be confused with Cider House rules. Very different set of rules, by the way. I'm not even sure what that joke's about, but Scott laughed.
It's a chick flick, right? It's like chick.
Yeah, I remember it was like Tobey Maguire and there was a cider house and somebody got pregnant and it
Yeah.
was I don't know. Then I fell asleep. I don't remember. It was 20 years ago that whole movie. But new Grand Theft World site is a more interesting thing than either of those type things. And uncover the hidden agendas manipulating our world. I mean, that's legit. That's what we tell you every week. There are hidden agendas manipulating your world, not necessarily controlling it in totality, but certainly being able to put a spin on it such that they're getting it in the catcher's mitt and we're swinging and missing all the time. So I think we, the people, need to learn to hit a curveball, maybe learn to take a second and wait for the changeup, maybe learn to like quicken our reflexes and hit that fastball. Whereas, it's not all about throwing the speedball by you because that'd be talking about your glory days, not your glory hole and not your bonus hole. So don't get your mind in the gutter right now because we still have serious news to cover before we get to lighthearted, funny stuff at the end. Um, the live red button is there now. So if I refresh the page, dun, 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 look, now when you come to this page, if there's a red button right here, it means we're live. And if you were to click that, you'd get into the recurring audio loop that I just tried to escape a couple minutes ago. But for you, it wouldn't be a big deal because you don't already have the show in your headphones on your head already. So welcome to Grand Theft World. I really like this. I like we kept some of the original type of iconography, but these puzzle pieces are all like new creations in a Grand Theft World theme because we've had this theme going for a long time and it's still about the same people that we had in the original graphics, but we needed a refreshment. We needed some update. And, there was a small team led by Martin and Leah, and they took many, many, many weeks to make sure that all the refinements, all the little things that we wanted to have on the page there's probably like a contact form. It probably has all the real website stuff now, is what I'm saying. So as before, it looked like a website for somebody's hobby. Now it looks like a more professional, we've been doing this 200 and some episodes type of organization. So we're moving on up, as they used to say on the Jeffersons. Uh, but I'm not sure if they still live on the east side. I have to check up on George and Wheezy. Wheezy? Yeah, I think. All right, so 70 shows for 500, Alex. I'm planning to win Jeopardy anytime. Uh, Tonight, we hear news that there are hundreds of ex. Are you ever an ex-Israeli spy? But we have to say it nicely like that. Former Israeli spies working at Facebook. What does that mean? Spies? People who worked in a foreign army, for instance, like maybe a three-letter organization like the IDF. And then you could look at the personnel of Columbia University. You could find a lot of ex-IDF people in a lot of Fortune 500 companies and government organizations. You know why? Because they have mandatory service over there, and they have this thing called right of return. So you can have somebody who's Scottish accent, Australian accent, Canadian accent. They go over there, they do some IDF time. Now they're back over here working. Like that's a thing. And I believe Trump just fired somebody this past week because of their overarching loyalty to a foreign country instead of to the United States of America and we the people type of constitutional republic that we represent here. So it's getting more interesting, the types of topics that are being covered. So this topic of Facebook having Israeli spies, like it has existed for a long time, probably since they created Facebook. But now it's being talked about in the public vernacular. Its evidence is coming out. People are observing. It's called the noticing. I don't know if you've ever noticed the noticing, but they have rules against noticing, and this is part of a like it's like when Joe Rogan said a couple weeks ago, it's okay to use the word retard again. It's like back in contemporary parlance. It's no longer a banned word. Like the noticing. It's okay. It's almost like okay to notice, whereas a couple years ago on Twitter, you're not allowed to notice. You can't notice about COVID. You can't notice about any other, there's certain things they don't want you to talk about and notice. And there are certain things they want you to be out there noticing like that Tenet Media, scam where they're paying a bunch of independent newsmakers obscene amounts of money to do a bunch of nonsense. I think it was just a honeypot, probably made by Western intelligence, and it seems to have worked, which is why they use honeypots like that. That's how they got Winnie the Pooh, and they can get you. So anyway, let's go to Jimmy Dore, Kurt Metzger, discussing Facebook filled with ex-Israeli spies. If you believe that they ever become ex-spies, let's check it out.
Over 100 Meta employees, which is Facebook and Instagram, including head of their AI policy, are confirmed ex-Israeli soldiers, IDF.
Oh, well, as long as they're not doing it anymore, they can be in charge of our social media.
So now you know why we are completely demonetized. We're not even allowed to promote our videos. Like we can't pay to promote our videos on Facebook. Did you know that? And so they gave and they kept so we used to make not a lot of money. We used to make some money on Facebook to help pay for our company, and it's all gone. And a lot of it has to do with our COVID coverage, but a lot of it has to do with our coverage of Israel and Gaza.
As far as Israel having an apartheid policy, are you guys aware of that apartheid thing?
Is it official policy? Yeah, but no, I know. Yeah, yeah.
Well, there's interesting history behind that, because apartheid, didn't they do that in South Africa? Huh.
They sure did. And you should see how Ethiopians get treated in Israel. Not the best.
And you should see how Kenyans get treated by Meta. You guys, have you seen this? How they pay them in KFC? Have you seen this?
No.
No? Okay. I haven't pulled a clip because it reminded me of this. If you guys want, I could play it later, but hilarious. Yeah, they have Meta hires people out of Kenya to help train the AI, pay them $2 an hour, and then instead of overtime pay, they give them KFC. They feed them KFC. It's, according to 60 Minutes, they're being interviewed on 60 Minutes. It's actually quite egregious. So that's Meta for you. If they're not collaborating with the IDF, they're paying poor Kenyan workers in KFC.
Right now, Beavis and Butthead are trying to move to Kenya. Yeah. Get free KFC. That could be your next episode.
Yeah.
All right. So this apartheid thing, it's got me thinking because everyone credits Hitler with concentration camps, but the British developed them in South Africa. Now, this is before apartheid. They had concentration camp for their white neighbors, the Dutch, right? This is shown in The King's Men or The King's Man, whatever the sequel is, the one where they also overthrow the Russian Tsar. There's a lot of history that they purvey as entertainment. Oh, you think that's just like entertainment? You went to the movies and saw a compelling good guy, bad guy story. There are good guys and bad guys, and at one point they developed motion picture studios to work their propaganda out there on people. So the concentration camps led to someone named Jan Smuts coming in after Cecil Rhodes's death. So you have the last will and testament of Cecil Rhodes. You have the apartheid of South Africa. Those plans were co-opted by the Zionists. And the Zionists wrote letters back and forth with Cecil Rhodes, like, hey, we like what you're doing over there. We'd like to do that over here. Got a similar problem. And it's also interesting that Cecil Rhodes was funded by the Rothschild family, and the people who founded Israel were also British and French Rothschilds, working to colonize that area since the late 1800s. By the early 1800s, according to American newspaper artifacts in possession of people likely in the International Independent Freedom Alliance of media creators. So those pieces of evidence must be weighed on the scale and taken into context to understand the apartheid of Israel. But the Jan Smuts part also has an interesting offshoot because he's the creator of the idea of holism and holistic ecology, which is a big driver behind the green agenda. So again, they might get you to be, scared of these impending doom, and it has to do with Mother Nature, and we have to give up all our stuff and live as subservient people, and the buffalo have more right than you do. Like all those ideas started with people who were heavily into empire, slavery, apartheid. Like these aren't necessarily people who empirically, objectively looked at the facts. They might be pursuing an agenda and then conveniently always steering the herd toward the intended incarceration, which is also part of the apartheid system. People aren't separate because they wanted to be separate. They're separated by laws. We also had laws like that in this country. There was a type of apartheid going on. So, well up until like the 1980s, by some accounts in some places in the country. So, just because the civil rights movement happened in the 60s doesn't mean everyone in the 60s just immediately changed how they do business. So, the idea of Jan Smuts, ecological holism, Alfred Zimmern, and the influence of these ideas, like this is Quigley's whistleblower, right? So you're not too far from they, them, those who have many times told us what they're doing and how they're evolving our society toward an English-speaking union for world domination. Federation is what they call it, the World Federalist Movement. That's one of the many, many, many names of the group with no name. But we'll just call them the Roundtable Group.
So it sounded like Jimmy Dore was pretty upset with Trump for wanting to, essentially punish people for exercising free speech, which would be to criticize Israel and the Zionist ideology. And I'm thinking the whole time, like, well, then what's the answer? Like, if Trump thinks he's above God, at least he should try and equate himself and become like the Zio Pope, right? If Trump can somehow merge being the president and the Pope, but also the Pope somehow of Zionism, boom, he's at least equated with God, and then he would at least be allowed to designate what is hate speech and what is free speech, right? That makes sense?
Is this the year that God gets a crypto coin?
God coin.
I've kind of expressed my notion that they might be promising Trump to be their messiah. Like I think they're like, Trump, you want to be our messiah, bro? We've been waiting for a long time for a messiah. We think you
Got some red heifers, bro.
You got red heifers. Like
We
look,
sent you an
build
Ark
a
of the
temple.
Covenant. Did you get it in the mail?
Yeah, like you could just build a temple. We know you love building big buildings. Like we need a temple. Come help us build it. And you can be our messiah, Trump.
Maybe. The Tower of Babel, speaking of holism, there's a book called Harmony by King Chucky III, but back when he did, I showed this to the students earlier because, again, this type of holistic conversation ensued. Harmony by his Royal Highness, I always forget, the Prince of Wales. And there is a picture of what you were just talking about in this book, if I can find it on the fly. Doing it live. A lot of esoteric symbolism in this book, like this. And Tower of Babel. Like, what if you just put the Trump logo on there? Boom. Who does a Trump impression here? Do we need to call Byron?
You would do
The Trump of babbling. It will be the most terrific, tremendous tower you've ever seen.
King Charles is quoting the Emerald Tablet of Hermes. He might have it in his collection, I guess. Right. But this is a very prestigious book printed by His Royal Highness King Chucky III. And yeah, you should read about their ecological holism ideas. Started with Jan Smuts, apartheid, and all that good stuff, because there's more to it than what's in an Adam Curtis documentary. Sorry, I had to remember. I was thinking Adam Curry. I was thinking big hair MTV, not the guy who might be related to Lionel Curtis, who makes BBC documentaries.
That book was called Harm Many. That's
Yes, yes, that's what it's called. Just one word, no subtitle. Yeah, well, he just puts it out there. Now Scott has what they call receipt. Colby, can you play that receipt from 60 Minutes? Training AI takes heavy toll on Kenyans working for $2 an hour. Can you even get KFC for $2 in Kenya? Let's see.
Does the worker get paid for those extra 3 months?
No.
KFC.
What?
We used to get KFC and Coca-Cola.
They used to say, thank you. They get you a
KFC.
bottle of soda and KFC chicken, 2 pieces. And that is it.
Worse yet, workers told us that some of the projects for Meta and OpenAI were grim and caused them harm. Naftali was assigned to train AI to recognize and weed out pornography, hate speech, and excessive violence, which meant sifting through the worst of the worst content online for hours on end.
I looked at people being slaughtered, people engaging in sexual activity with animals, people abusing
And that was just
children
Congress. Go ahead, pull
physically,
it.
sexually.
And that was just him watching Congress. Anyway, I'm very confused by that clip because, first off, isn't KFC owned by Pepsi? So why are they serving Coke with it? Secondly, nobody gets filled up off of 2 pieces of KFC. So how can you expect that guy to screen for porn and hate speech and stuff like that? That's just so unrealistic.
I don't have any explanation. That's the claim. That's the claim.
So it's truly an international cabal. It's Pepsi and Coke in on it.
Totally. 2 wings of the same bird, dude.
It goes all the way to Big Soda.
It goes all the way to Big Soda. Twice a year, I teach a course called Autonomy. It's a 12-week course. It teaches leadership, entrepreneur skills, executive skills, all these types of things that I saw were taken out of our education system in order to make the schooling or indoctrination system that we've all probably went through. And it has served us well enough to be interchangeable cogs in the machine of the globalists. But if we want a homestead, if we want write our own ticket, work from home job, work from anywhere type of situation, they're not exactly handing those out at the end of college. They give you a piece of paper and they're like, good luck. So reality is dropping us off here, but the demands of reality are up here. So I created Autonomy to help people close that gap for themselves so they can level up their skills to the demands of the situations that life is putting in front of us presently. Life's demands of intellect and understanding precision and complexity are ever increasing. The schooling didn't prepare us for it. The media is not going to do anything but reinforce what schooling prepared us for. And so we're going to have to take a leadership position and take steps off the beaten path to kind of blaze our own trail in life. What makes the Grand Theft World podcast unique, invigorating, exciting, and informative? Most other podcasts out there are either doing straight up interviews or they're just covering the daily news. They're covering current events from the day they happened. And that is effective. It's useful. It's a great starting point. And then sometimes these current events change during the week past the first story. So we like to give it a little time. You have to wait till some of the dust settles on these stories in order to give them accurate coverage. And the other thing that's really missing in the media landscape is covering the articles that are coming out every day. That's great. That's necessary. But who's bringing in contextual history so that you can understand what has been going on for decades and decades to lead up to the machinations and actions that we see unfolding today? So what we do here on the podcast is we cover current events. Many of these things are censored, but we wait about a week. As a forensic historian, I focused mainly through my career on the history of globalism and collectivism and things that they call maybe the New World Order. There's a lot of facts to these sort of circumstances, groups, events, activities, working groups that they've had over time. So for Grand Theft World listeners, we not only break down the current events, most of which that are censored during the week, we provide you with contextual history, we give you the source notes, the references, we do deep dives, and this really empowers you with an understanding of context and history so that you can make more informed decisions in your life. There's also a community, a membership where you guys can actually ask questions and we can get into the show and we can share evidence. And there's a town hall weekly for Grand Theft World for those who listen to it and are interested in covering the stories that we don't get to during a 6-hour show. Listening to it an hour a day, you could easily consume the week's news, but you're going to have substance and meaning and context and understanding. And with that, you can make higher quality decisions in your life. So if you're interested in more quality in your life, go to grandtheftworld.com, click podcast at the top, and we'll see you there. Thank you.
These allegations are false.
This isn't Grand Theft Auto, folks. This isn't a video game.
What are the most surprising things that you discovered once you started pulling on that thread? Who he was connected to, what institutions he was influential over, what events he participated in?
Come on, man. What are we talking about? Come on, man.
No.
You don't have to think about it, dude.
I got this quote because you said you didn't know much about Klaus Schwab. I made it my job to, as soon as this happened, I'm like, okay, this guy's their front man. Let me learn about the official history of the World Economic Forum. I got their 40-year history. I got every book that Klaus Schwab has written or ghostwritten. I went through those books. This is one of the most interesting passages.
Come on, man. Come